The BBM podcast, brought to you by Matrixmen.
So Lee, thank you so much for joining us. It's great to have you. And just as an intro to our guests, tell us a bit about yourself.
Hi, thank you Martin, thank you so much for inviting me today. I'm very honoured. A little bit about myself. My name's Lee. I'm from the UK.
We'd never have guessed with that accent.
Would you not?
No.
I've tried to tone it down for you just
Little.
a little today.
Try and Africanise it a bit.
A little bit, just so you understand me.
Cool. Yeah.
My passion's always been about social work, about social justice, about the balance and about children. Most importantly, that's the priority. Being a social worker from the UK, coming over to South Africa, I saw the discrimination against fathers and men. It was very, very obvious. So I founded an organisation called Dads Indeed.
Okay.
Dads Indeed has grown phenomenally. We support a number of fathers and a number of mothers because our mission statement at the end of the day is all children deserve both parents and children deserve to have a relationship with both parents.
Yeah.
It is the parent's responsibility to ensure those children have that relationship.
Yeah.
It's not about the parent.
Absolutely. We tend to make it about ourselves.
Yes,
Through
we do.
these processes, isn't it? So when you get divorced, it always becomes like, well, I'm not going to have my child, and I'm not seen, and I'm not getting this, and we tend to forget about the child. And quite often the child ends up being the pawn or the victim
Absolutely.
between the two parents that are fighting, right?
And that impact on those children is lifelong.
Yeah.
You think of us at our age, at our tender years.
I don't know about you, but I'm like in my 30s.
I can see. I feel so old today. But how many of us had divorced parents? And the impact that we carry. And we carry on instilling that in our children. Why have we not learned?
No,
Why
we
are we
seem
so
to be quite
egotistical?
stupid, excuse me.
Stupid, yes.
Yeah, because we don't learn from our past mistakes,
No, we
isn't it?
don't.
Eh?
No,
Why
we
do
don't.
you think that is? Any ideas?
Because we become egotistical, and any separation at the end of the day, I believe, is so emotional that we become paralyzed and we almost become jailed in our own emotions. We can't think past a certain point. We can't look forward. I was having a very interesting conversation with somebody last night, and when something goes wrong, why do we all run to a lawyer? Why do we not mediate? Why do we not communicate? Why do we not sit with our families? Why do we not ask our children what they want?
Yeah.
We run to a lawyer, we pay loads of money and we litigate.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
I've heard horrible things such as people being summoned on their birthdays
Yes.
or at work.
Yeah.
Why? At the end of the day, when the lawyers leave and the couple's separated, there's still children that need to be nurtured into
Exactly.
this world.
And the lawyers don't care about the kids.
No.
They don't. They care about their winning the case
Yes.
for their client and getting as much money as they can out of it, and that's it.
And then they walk away.
And who suffers at the end?
The child.
The child. Yeah.
I always say to people, before you go litigate, just consider that is your child's education fund you're spending. Is it worth it?
Yeah. Not.
But people don't listen for a long time, unfortunately, because we're in a mindset. Even us, we're in a mindset. If it goes wrong, we need the protection of the law.
Yeah. The law doesn't protect.
No, it doesn't.
The law doesn't protect. I was talking about it the other day, and I thought to myself, the law doesn't have feelings.
No, it's a piece of
It's
paper.
a set of rules. Yes, it's a set of rules, and you get judged or you get punished according to those rules. It doesn't include how you're feeling, how you're thinking, or how the other person is feeling or thinking. It doesn't, and sometimes that's where I get to like the wisdom of Solomon. You know, that to me is brilliant. You know, whose baby is it? Well, let's cut the baby in half, and you can each have a half.
Absolutely.
And then the real mother goes like, no,
Absolutely.
give it to her. And he goes, well, that's your child because you don't want to see your own child hurt. We don't see that in the law, right?
No,
No.
no,
Yeah.
we don't see that in law.
And- I mean, have you ever experienced like parents going and sitting down with their children and saying, what do you want?
I have.
Have you?
I do.
Wow.
And I am a huge champion and advocate for it. When I mediate, I will mediate between two people, and then I'll say in one of my sessions, we've come this far, we're this far in your parenting plan, we've discussed everything, I'd now like you to leave the room and let your children tell me what they want. How do they see their future? How do they feel about seeing you every second weekend? Does a Wednesday work for them or not? I will always have the child's voice in every parenting plan, even if it's a baby. Do you know that they're still able to indicate what they want in life?
Yeah.
Of course they are. So we have a child, we have a plan, a blueprint for them until they're 18. They need to be heard. It's their lives. They're only on loan to us as parents.
Absolutely.
And then they move on.
Yeah.
So I've had wonderful, I've had the most success going forward and not needing to review plans and not needing to reinstill or amend because children's voices are being heard.
Yeah. One of the guys that I'm busy counselling at the moment phoned me the other day and he said last weekend he went on a total bender, got totally wrecked. His ex-wife found out about it and she's trying to accuse him of being an alcoholic all the time. So she's, and I can see the makings and the start, the kind of the seeds of like parental alienation, or what did you call it?
I don't like parental alienation.
Yeah. So teach me.
I like the word, and I think it's far more accurate and easy to prove if we say estrangement.
Estrangement.
Because we are estranging a parent.
From a loving parent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're also abandoning our child's needs.
Yes.
So parental alienation is a word that we very easily and freely band about.
Yes.
It needs to be proved because it is actually criminal.
Yes.
So estrangement, we can also prove you haven't spoken to your child in 3 years. You are estranged. Your child is estranged.
Cool, I must remember that.
Please.
Yeah.
That's what I tell people.
I consider myself whipped. So yeah, guys, I mean, and one of the things with the BBM podcast is that we're talking about building better men. And one of the issues that we find with men is that they don't talk about things. And we need to create, that's what we're trying to do here as well. And I know you're trying to do that with Dads Indeed. Create spaces where men can come together and talk about issues. Guys, this is something that we need to, there's all these concepts and constructs in the world about men manning up and men having big balls, and which is quite weird. We'll talk about that just now. Ngani's post, I can't believe how many people viewed that post. We just seriously, I'm just putting in context for you. So we had this thing where we posted about testicular cancer.
Oh, right.
And how to check yourself.
Yeah.
We ran in on, I think it was over 380,000 views.
Wow. Wow, I need to look.
500 something shares, it's crazy. Anyway,
Fantastic.
So once you start talking about guys' nuts,
Okay.
they pay attention, which is not,
I need to remember this.
it's not the idea, guys. This is not the idea, Manliness is not your appendages. Manliness is not your build. Manliness is not, it's your heart, and we need to get to that point where we learn to talk about things.
Absolutely.
If you're in pain,
be honourable to
be
yourself.
honourable, yes, to yourself. And once you can respect and honour yourself, then you would naturally respect and honour other people. You said something in our pre-interview chat that was quite interesting, is guys that talk about their ex-wives in a derogatory manner.
Yes.
And then...
So for me, you married somebody or you've had a baby with somebody, that is a conscious choice. You've chosen that person. You have invested in that person. You've had a life together. You've had a dream. You've had the white picket fence dream together. If you then separate and you start bashing that person down constantly, denigrating them, defamation, being nasty, you know something? I would look at you and say, I judged you by the person you married because you made that choice.
Exactly.
And that's how you need to view. That is still your child's parent. That is 100% of your child, because a child is made up of two people. 100%.
Yes, yeah.
So let's not do it. Let's try and work with kindness, integrity, and give our children harmony moving forward. Do we want our children in the future to feel like we do? The pain we walk in?
Man, that's the one thing. That's the one thing I'm trying to avoid, which we didn't, because her mother and I just we were at each other, and it's horrible. And to cope, my daughter's done things that she's not proud of, but that's to cope, and I understand that, And the one thing I've said is I got to just love her better. I can't counsel her, I can't do anything. I just need to love her better. And the weird thing is, that are made up of two people. That's a creative, because I've just become a grandpa, right?
Oh,
Okay, 3 months old. Yes, there's a kid. And somebody phoned me the other day and she said, "Wow, your grandson looks exactly like you." And I thought, that's kind of weird, isn't it? But it's true, isn't it? Because that carries on down.
The BBM podcast, brought to you by Matrixmen.
From your expert opinion, okay, what are your suggestions for coping?
I'd like to start with a story,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
I love stories.
Okay.
Yes.
I've worked with a lot of dads through Decembers, and I have seen behaviours that are not acceptable, such as, the silver bullet when we start with the protection order and we go for the Rule 43 and lawyers entice this behaviour. Last year, one of the dads I work with hasn't seen his children in a year because of all sorts of things going on. And his mum, 75 years old, came over, probably the last time she will ever see her grandchildren. She's old. And what did the mum do? After months of trying to arrange something, she did a drive-by, opened the window and said, "Hand in your presents," and sped off. How do you think that dad felt? He was heartbroken, absolutely heartbroken, as was his mum. I'm sure she went off and enjoyed the rest of the day, as did the children.
Yeah.
But what will be the long-term effect? So what I say to people, the reason I tell that story is there's a lot of pain around December. And a lot of dads will sit at home on their own and they'll use some sort of comfort, whatever their comfort is.
Porn, alcohol,
Absolutely.
overeating, drugs.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Tinder.
Oh, yes.
Come
yes.
on.
A lot of guys
Happens.
think sex is going to be the answer to you. It's not. It makes you feel even more hollow. Trust me, I tried this.
And I hear
It's
it
not
a lot.
worth it.
So I say to dads, right, for your first December, think of a tradition that you will have with your children moving forward that belongs to you in your home. You getting divorced, which means you didn't get on with your partner, which means Christmases must have been pretty stressful.
Yeah, too. Yeah.
And now you're on your own, so now you've got to recreate. You have a blank canvas. What do you want? I always start there.
That's pretty amazing. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you want for Christmas?
Yeah.
Do you want a tree in every room? Do you want sweets all over that? What is it what you want? Do it with your children. Think of a theme. You're only going to have your children for a short time over Christmas. Make it quality. Don't spend your time to the X going, "Nyeh, nyeh, 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 nyeh." Doesn't work. Your children will remember that.
Yes.
The other thing I always say is Christmas is also a time for adults to socialise. I've met you. I've met loads of new people. So if I'm not with my children, I need to take that time and nurture those relationships too. Have time out, have time down, and look for those support groups. Over Christmas, I will take the dads I work with and we often go hiking or we go kayaking.
Cool.
I think physical activity is important. I support and I say on Christmas Day, if you're alone, share with each other. Maybe 3 of you can go and be together in one person's house. Men won't speak and say, "I'm alone at Christmas, I'm lonely."
Yeah.
But maybe they should.
Yeah, because they're trying to mature up.
I know.
They're trying to man up and don't whine, don't moan, don't cry about it.
Boys should
You're a
cry.
man.
No,
Yeah.
boys must
I
cry.
advocate for it. I love it.
Absolutely.
I love crying. It's like I cry more than my wife does. I do, honestly. When we're watching a movie, if it's kids and it's animals that get hurt in the movie, I'm like, "Oh, my wife just puts her arm around me.
Oh, bless her.
Guys should cry. I never cried until I started dealing, so until like 10 years ago when I started dealing with my abuse in my childhood and all that sort of stuff, never cried because I was this tough guy, I wasn't weak.
Can I ask a question? I often speak to
I'm
dads.
the interview. Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
I'm
I'm taking over.
Cool.
I often speak to dads, right? And when they start crying, what's the natural reaction? To put your arm on somebody, to give them that reassurance. And they
Yes.
will push me away
It's weird, eh?
and want to be on their own. Do you know, maybe leave my hand there for a minute. I'm not going to hurt you.
It's safe touch.
It's safe.
Safe touch, yeah.
And you know what? I'm
Yeah.
supporting you.
Yes.
So message, if you're crying, let somebody touch you.
Yes.
It's okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it on your own.
Yeah.
The BBM podcast, brought to you by Matrixmen. Hey guys, thank you once again for tuning in to the BBM podcast brought to you by Matrixmen. If you enjoy our content, if you like what we're doing, please make sure that you give us a thumbs up on our social media platforms, even on this video if you're watching on YouTube, and definitely on the podcast if you're listening. And make sure that you share it with your friends and your family. You never know who might need this. And of course, subscribe to our channels, so that you don't miss an update. But also please comment, so that we can engage with you guys and let's conversate. And just kind of create more conversation around what we're talking about. And until next time, this is the BBM podcast brought to you by Matrixmen. I really like saying that. Cheers, guys.
The BBM podcast brought to you by Matrixmen.